Ba-dum-bow. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Atomic Mass Transmissions Live. Today, we're going to be painting up our Omega Red. Super awesome mutant for Marvel Crisis Protocol. One of my favorite characters. I always loved when this guy showed up in the comic books to wreck Wolverine's poor day. We're going to have some fun with him. I'm not going to go full red. We're going to play with some black red. Play with some like nice metallic reds to create contrast, and deepen up the metals just a little bit away from the studio version, and just play with him and just have a good time. So instead of me jabbering, I'm going to kick it over to the mini cam, the best cam, and get started. Bing. We're actually doing it. My camera's working. I'm stoked. I get to paint Omega Red. I've been waiting forever for this. Brendan got to paint the studio one. Made me all excited to see once that got painted, and it was a very cool, very cool miniature. We had a lot of fun designing, not just in rules wise, but sculpt wise, like figuring out how to make the carbonium tentacles. And in one piece, right? So we always say like everything we do is a learning experience, right? We just keep learning, we keep growing. Just like with life, that's what you should be doing. I mean, that's my opinion. Don't listen to me. Learning and growing, and all the lessons from every miniature that came before this, you know, kind of leads to this. So, and then we just keep growing and learning and developing and trying new stuff. Love trying new stuff. All right, I'm going to glaze some red. I mixed some regular red, like a fire engine red, and a little tiny bit of magenta ink. I recently picked up some magenta ink from a art supply store. I've been playing with it and really love it, so I'm just mixing this together to create a more vibrant red. I'm just going to glaze this in. So how's everybody doing? Are you painting anything? Or are you just watching today? Getting ready for the long holiday weekend? I know I'm ready for the long holiday weekend. If you get a long holiday weekend. If you don't have a long holiday weekend, I apologize, and I'm sorry. Take one anyways. Let's just glaze that over. I'm looking at my reference. I'm actually looking at the studio one for some color placements, getting a feel for where Brendan laid that on there. Thank you, Firekite 202. Like, yeah, we're gonna have fun. Like I said, I'm gonna put some red on, and then we're gonna start darkening it up, make it like a black red. I want to go with something a little different in the studio. Wampa Stumpa's got the taco truck assembled. Love the taco truck. One of my favorites. Hopefully, you get that painted up, get it on the table. Makes it excellent piece of terrain. It's always good to have fun thematic terrain for your miniature games. I think it's one of the most important parts of miniature games is terrain. Definitely something here at AMG we believe in. You gotta have really lovely terrain to help tell that story, and because it's just more fun, it's more exciting for me. The joy of it is that super fun story that you tell with your friends. Those little crazy stories that you remember forever and ever. I mean, I have games that I played in the 90s, and I still remember moments and like talk to my friends, I'll be like, "Oh, you remember that time?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah." You know, and a good set piece helps tell those stories. Just painting red. Nothing fancy here. Gwinnacles, excited to paint some web warriors? Yeah. Web warriors are a lot of fun. What a great little crew to put together and paint. I'm always excited to add more web heads to the game. Hello, Release. I'm doing fantastic. The heat wave here in Seattle is over. It was mega hot for Seattle. No one in the Seattle area has air conditioner in their houses. Not no one, but they're not common. So that heat wave was really, really something else. But that's finally over. I got a nice cool breeze coming in my front door. Well, I mean, I got my front door closed right now, but got a nice cool breeze going on today, so Release. I love the way you frame that. That's come out prior, because like sometimes my favorite faction might be something that's not released, which it actually is. So I can't talk about it, but you understand that, and you asked me respectfully. I really like Web Warriors and X-Force. I think I really enjoy playing those. I got to play X-Men on stream a while back, and that was super awesome. I love that. That was a fun game between Shook and I. Oh, Spider Foes. Just what a great thematic group. I love that, you know, they're kind of like, they're not really a team, right? They're a bunch of people with a, you know, united cause, but they're not really working together, and they never really, you know, even when they're teaming up, they're still individuals just trying to do something together. So alright, a little more red, then we'll paint some white skin while that dries, because that's the fun part of him. Is that everything I want red? We need to... So I laid this amethyst purple. It's a metal color from Scale 75. It's a metallic purple. Laid that on there last week when we started the stream, and the stream died. So I'm going to use that as a base for like red metal, and then the rest of this red is like cloth. So I'm going to treat them differently to show the different elements in play. And I want these kneecaps, since they're right in the center of the heavy boots, to be that same metallic. Set that there. I forgot to back up his shins. I don't want that all silver. Let's bring that to the reds. Bring it to the reds. Like I said, little red, little magenta ink. Makes it quite lovely. Just kind of increases the saturation and the tonality of it. If you haven't noticed, I love playing with inks. They're a great tool that, you know, maybe don't get as much attention as other things do in the miniature world. But I found it to be a super useful tool, so hopefully you'll try some out. It's always fun. Like I said, we're all here to, you know, Atomic Mass, we have a very solid philosophy of try new things, you know, learn from mistakes. So sometimes you just gotta get in there and just give something a go and see what happens. As I always told my kids, you can't learn by winning. What comes in the box for Omega Red? Is there different stuff, or I'm not sure I follow different stuff. What difference? Like, I'm not sure about the question. There's cards. There's definitely cards. There's a miniature of a really awesome Omega Red. Is that what we're asking? So I'm going to take some gray and we'll touch a pink. No, the Omega Red has no options. Creating one set of tentacles that are one piece was challenging enough, much less a second set. So a little purple into that. Go through a lot of, you know, all this stuff takes, we've talked before, the timelines on plastic miniatures is very, very long. And so the development and construction can take a long time. And we like doing options when we can or when it makes sense. We don't have a philosophical, like, everything has to have an option. I think that can tie you down creatively. I feel like everything has to have an option. So when it makes sense or it feels right, and then also we get into like the engineering time, and then the increased production time, and the increased cost time, like all that stuff. A bunch of factors go into making these lovely little miniatures. Years and years worth. Let's go a little darker gray. Most miniatures are about 18 months. Most miniatures take about 18 months. I like being a little further out, but they take a long time. You know, something that you see today Might have been concepted 2 years ago, or 18 months ago. Sculpted a long time ago and put through that engineering process that takes a long time. I'm just adding some darker and darker grays to maintain this like pale skin. I'm just putting in the shadows. And there's little touches of purples and yeah, this Omega Red is such a fun miniature. Like I said, I always loved when he showed up in the comic books. I always knew Wolverine was in for a tussle. He is a hunky boy. Like, I don't know if y'all put together and figured out the scale of this fella yet. He is not small at all. Maybe here in a second, if you want to see another character up next to him, we can put something up next to him. I got Jean Grey on my desk. Comparing to, I don't have a Venom nearby. What do I have nearby? I have a Kingpin nearby. I have a Jean Grey nearby. I have a Scarlet Witch nearby. Yeah, let's put him next to Kingpin. Let's see how these two fellas stand up to another. There you go. Can I get a feel for him there? I don't have a Wolverine. All my stuff is on the other side of the room. My giant collection of painted Crisis Protocol hides on the other side of the room. So when I'm streaming, I got my microphone on. I don't like walking away. Oh, if you like that Kingpin, that was painted during the last mini extravaganza, and you should definitely be ready for more mini extravaganza. We haven't really talked about it. I'm sure more information will be coming, but who knows what we'll be painting on when and if we do another. And you can go back and check out those videos about how I painted that Kingpin. All right, let's get some pure white, just some nice titanium white. It's been on my wet palette, so it's really, really loose. It might be too loose to work with. Let's see if we can dry that off just a little bit. Oh, BK coming in with some hot knowledge. Teasers, 2 affiliations. Just a little highlights. Just keep them real minimal, blend them out just a touch. Just a little bit of white to bring that color in. All right, I like that. All right, let's the next thing we want to do is darken our, let's start darkening our reds. So I'm going to take that same magenta red and add a ton of black, maybe the slightest touch of blue. We're going to really start darkening down these reds. Like I said, I want to create something a little much different than the studio one. Our Hunky Boy Red here was sculpted by Dave Kidd, who, if you read the credits on Marvel Crisis Protocol, you'll see his name a lot. And painted by Brennan, who, once again, if you read the credits, gets a lot of credits. But I want to do something a little different. I want to darken it down. I'm going to go with almost like a really black red, you know, real deathly. I need to just slowly establish that or I'll lose a lot of red, which I don't want to do. You can tell I left the tentacles off just for ease of painting. You don't have to if you don't want to. Also for the camera, when I first was testing them out, I had them tacked on because I was like, well, maybe I'll leave them on. But the camera kept auto-focusing on them as I turned. So I was like, well, I need to take them off, right? Take them off. I got a little more black. Yeah, that's more what I wanted. Just to where the red pokes through. There we go. Speed this process up. Too slow for streaming, Kemp. Get it under control. I can be really messy at this stage. I'm just kind of dealing with the red. I'll worry about the metals later. So if I get some color on that, it just doesn't matter. Favorite miniature painted this year? Oh man, I painted so many miniatures this year. You want to know my most favorite miniature ever painted though? I can tell you that. Ever? Like in the history of humans? This is the one you just finished. So much black. This is what I wanted. I wanted a very black that turns into red. I think now we're getting there. I think especially after we start doing another shade and one more highlight, and you're really going to see that red pop back out. So it's very dark. Because as it gets to the shadows, I want it to be pure black. And only on the highlights, I want it to be red. I think that's going to create like a very interesting and unique costume for Mr. Red here. He does not like being called Mr. Red, I'm sure. Let's find a little blue on the palette. So I'm going to put this right over that purple metal. This is very much painting from the inside out. And I can kind of do different steps as long as I'm mindful of what's going to happen next. But I'm painting from the inside out here. These will be red, but I want some blue in there for shadow first. So by glazing that blue over to purple, and then I will do red over top of that, I'll get like a nice red metallic. And then the framing will be a very blue, like true metallic. And I'll frame up all those elements really nicely, that red and blue contrast. I can kind of work on these elements without interfering with the reds. Should be fine. Like I said, we're just being mindful of where our brush is going. Just thinking about that next step. See, Brendan painted the skin very, very white. I'm going to pull back just a little bit from that. Once again, just to create something a little different, something a little unique. There's no intention in miniatures in my mind. There's only unlimited potential and creativity. So just because you saw bright red on the box or this pose on the box, like, you have unlimited potential and creativity. So express it. That's what the fun of miniatures is. Paint it how you want, pose it how you want. It's the fun of miniatures. Oh, Matus Max. Yeah, it's one of my favorite mutants too. I mean, I have a soft spot for all mutants, but I'm excited for him and Cassandra Nova, Jean. Who knows what else the future will bring? Missed a little spot right there on the arm. Darken that up. There we go. Now I can really start darkening up that armor. It's about time to clean my palette. Or get a new palette, I mean. So many characters we want to bring to the game. I don't think you could even name a Marvel character that we'd be like, nah, we don't want that. Nano antenna or blighted brush. I'm honestly surprised I haven't seen anything new beyond Moon Knight, Blade Mist. Well, there's always a reason for stuff. Patience is a beautiful virtue. Trust me, plenty of stuff is being worked on. We have so much stuff. Like I said, Schick and I say all the time, every character is somebody's favorite. And I think it's important that we remember that, and I think it's also important that, you know, if we can, get everybody's favorite on the tabletop. You know? Yeah, we got some upcoming stuff. Atomic Mass is saying it there too. We got some upcoming stuff I am so stoked to share. I am so excited for everybody to see. You can't even begin to imagine. Stuff that will blow your mind. Better hold on to your socks, because they's about to get blown off. I had a friend that used to say that a lot. Mainly at karaoke. But and we love that, like, at time we asked, we definitely are fans of fans of every character. And we don't want to just do, the fun thing is not just to do the quote popular ones, right? We want a little bit of everything. Have a vast collection and of characters drawn from comic lore. See, this is the kind of red I want. This is very, very like black red leather. That thigh is up, so I want a little more red showing than what's on the torso. It's a little that way. And then this boot, I'm gonna push really, really, really black because it's way down here on the underside. I'll create that sense of drama. You gotta have drama. Yeah, see that seam? That seam's gonna look really sharp when I highlight that. Let's really push some black into these crevices. We can never comment on who or what's in the works. We can only comment on what has been shown, teased, released. But we have lots of plans that go out a long ways. We always want more. Trust me, making the schedule is not easy. Well, I don't know what the "and" is. What is the "and"? Getting in that weird angle right there. Get that cap. My noggin's in the way probably. Sorry. We were talking about inks earlier. We always talk about, Schaefer and I have talked about like different techniques that we're trying and learning. So I'm curious, is there any techniques that you've been testing or trying out or are interested in? And you should let me know right now. And maybe we can go over them over the next month. Maybe we can learn them together. We can all practice and develop something as a group, as a team. I'm just shadowing these black or this red. Oh, next announcement? Oh, I don't deal with announcements. Never know what those marketing folk are up to. It's always sooner than you think, though. We do have some cool announcements lined up. It's true. I do know some. We do have some really great announcements. Just always be on the lookout. Follow Atomic Mass on Twitter. And always be ready, because that's the best place. Our Instagram. You definitely want to follow Instagram, because that's where the painting protocols are. So you should follow us there. Lots of announcements go up there too. So if you want to stay up to date on the latest news, information, announcements, those are your points. Jade Machine asked an awesome question. Do I use an airbrush at all, or just specific tasks like priming on bigger objects? I do use an airbrush. I think it's a wonderful tool. I also don't think it's cheating, because there's no cheating in art. Actually, I just find that comment quite irrelevant and not actually true. It would indicate that anybody can pick up an airbrush and just automatically make beauty. It takes practice, like any tool. I do use it. I use it a lot for priming, especially priming. I grew up in the Midwest, and so humidity always wrecks stuff, and I got sick of that real quick, because I don't want to just prime on certain days of the year. So an airbrush fixed that real quick. Also, just airbrush priming is much more consistent. I get a way more predictable outcome. And somebody like me who's working on, constantly working on short timelines, or with the philosophy like done is the best color, I want to get done. So not waiting for crummy primer or dealing with crummy primer, but knowing exactly what my primer is going to do is super important to me. I like using it for buildings. I think the airbrush is super great for buildings, because you don't have to highlight a building like you would a miniature. You just need broad highlights and some wonderful color modulation to really get a good effect on a building. You don't have to highlight every individual stone and crack and brick and divot and doodad. So I really love it for that. What else do I use it for? Sometimes I use it for just to spot colors in. Here, I'll show you an example. I love this red, by the way. And I'm going to get to everybody's questions. I'm not going to stop till I answer everybody's questions. You can see here, I'm grabbing it. I haven't glued it to the base yet. So my Scarlet Witch, this magic effect on Scarlet Witch. I love this, by the way. This was one of the most fun things to ever draw and design. I used the airbrush and I put like a taffy purple on the bottom and a bright pink on the top, and then I used ink through the airbrush to kind of create some modulation, and then the two colors created shadow and highlight, and then I went in with a brush to add details and sharpness to everything to get that nice poppy hit of color for my Scarlet Witch. So the airbrush was important there, and it sped it up. Now I could have done that with a brush, but once again, we're talking about speed. I'm all about speed. Wampa Stompa Still practicing the two brush blending. Sometimes I pull away too much or leave a ring behind. It's really cool when I get to work though. Yeah, that's the thing, is like learning that two brush it's a practice technique, right? It's not like a wash or a dry brush, which are what I call immediate techniques, right? It's just like you throw a wash on some chainmail or like some really dope gribbly hair and just boom, right? It's done. You just have an immediate dramatic effect. Dry brushing is the same way. You just do that little flip, 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 boom, you have an immediate dramatic effect. Two brush is a practice technique. And sometimes, like once you get really proficient at it, you can use it to your advantage to learn how to do those bathtub rings to make bad blends a awesome effect. So like if you want to do, like leopard or cheetah spots on, say, a craven, the hunter, like maybe his little loincloth or his pants, you can actually use bad blend to create those soft transitional translucent spots. You can also do freckles like that. So there's a lot of like stuff that you can learn to do with that technique. Two brushes is my go-to. Release the budgies. Also, I'm hitting the ceiling where I don't see myself improving. Okay, that's the plateau. I am a firm believer, learn to love the plateau. And I know that sounds counter to what you want to hear probably. Learn to love the plateau. The plateau is that moment where you're like, man, I just don't feel like I'm getting better. It's just, that to me typically indicates that I'm on the verge of a breakthrough. That's my experience. It's now it's time to push. Now it's time to knuckle down. Now it's time to really learn something, because you're probably on the edge of a breakthrough, right? So learn to love the plateau. Keep working. Keep going. Oh, I won't lie to you. My coworkers tell you I'm a terrible liar. I'm also not a troll. I can't troll very well. So I won't lie to you, especially when it comes to art and miniature painting. First off, I have no reason to lie to you. I'm here to help you get better. I'm here to get better myself. I'm here to go on this journey of miniature painting with you and, my coworkers and anybody else who wants to come along, right? We're all on different points of the same journey. So I have no reason to lie or troll you at all. It does me no good, right? I want to see your painted miniatures. I want to see you achieve what you want to achieve. So let's work together to achieve that, Pete Down 511, technique you're using now with the thin black or red. Is that what you'd categorize glazing or closer to a blending? I enjoy that red you're accomplishing. I'm currently trying to understand what defines all the... how to define blend methods. I'm kicking over to face cam because this is the part where I get all excited. Okay, so techniques. Remember, wash and glaze are not things. You can buy them in a pot and they say wash, and that's great. But in reality, they're techniques. So let's define these techniques. Base coat, that's just a layer of paint. Now, you can do a solid layer, you can do multiple thin layers, you can do like a halfway layer. There's ways to manipulate the technique. Wash. Wash is a paint that's been thinned down. You can take any paint. You can take this, get ready, Mr. Wilshick. Hold your blue. This is regular opaque paint. I can make this a wash very easily by adding a little medium or adding a little water. The technique of a wash is any paint that's thin that goes into the crevices, pulls from the raised areas to create contrast. Like that's essentially what a wash is. A glaze is, imagine a filter, right? Like when you go to the photo, get your family photo taken, you're all doing this. Or when you're trying to do that, and they put the cellophane over top of the light to make it more red or more yellow or more blue. That's a glaze. That's a technique. So it's a thin paint that is equitably distributed over a surface to change its tonality or its color or whatever you're trying to accomplish with it. So that's what you're trying to do with that. You're not trying to get a glaze to pull. You're trying to get to go evenly over top to create transition or to smooth a blend. Two brush blending is when you lay a big glop of paint down and you use a second brush to come in and grab it and stretch it out. And as you stretch it out, it dissipates and creates a beautiful smooth blend. Once you practice that and you get really, really good at it, you can make airbrush smooth blends. I've got miniatures that I've painted where like they're airbrush smooth, but there's no airbrush to it. It's all just two brush blending. Smoothness is not important. First off, some things you want smooth. I want a smooth face. I want these transitions going from this color to this color. I want those very smooth. But then on other things I don't, right? See that shadow on that shirt, gray shirt? It's not a smooth transition in places. It's very harsh. So you don't always want smoothness. It's a tool. Everything's a tool. What I'm doing on this black, how would I classify that? I would call that a blended wash, probably. I'm using thin paint that I'm purposely thinning down to create translucency, and I'm stretching it over so it runs out by the time I hit the point where I want the highlight. Does that make sense? So as I move the paint across the surface, it's going in the crevices and darkening them out, but at the same time it's also changing the overall tone, so it's kind of like a glaze. Ooh. But then it's tapering out, so it's a blended wash, I guess. And then the more I do that, I would go with more and more thick, more and more opaque paint in the crevices to eliminate all the red. That's my goal. And then come back and highlight. So does that make sense? Did any of that make sense? Did you feel like you learned something? I really hope so. Back to the mini cam. Boop. Let's keep painting this. Yeah, I really like this red black, right? And this is gonna look super cool once I start highlighting and popping that red. You see this a lot in like some of the movies. How do I teach myself to not go back and strip the minis I've completed and leave them? I don't know how you just don't do it. I'm not a big fan of stripping my miniatures. I love having those points of reference to my life and my journey. I like seeing where I came from. I like having where I've been. I like my lessons. I don't think everything has to be perfect. The universe is not perfect, so why do I gotta be? It's all the journey. It's not the destination. It's the journey. So if you paint something, you kind of boff it. That's okay. I boff miniatures all the time, right? And you just take it as a lesson. And you're just like, man, I learned something really cool there. And I love what I learned, and it's going to help me later on the next project, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters. That's my opinion. Other people may have a different opinion. That's okay. People can have different opinions, but that's just my philosophy. I'm not trying to. You know, it all depends on the miniature's destiny, right? We talk about the miniature's destiny a lot on this show. You know, Atomic Mass Transmissions Live, not just Thursdays, but also Fridays and Wednesdays and Tuesdays with Schick and Schaefer. You gotta have a destiny, right? Of course, P-Town. That's why I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm part of the community. Well, all of us at Atomic Mass are just Pagani. We're all part of the community, just like everybody else. So we're here to help. We're here to be part and like help each other grow in our painting journey. Destiny in miniature. What's the destiny of this Omega Red? You got to ask yourself that. I'm painting this Omega Red. This is my Omega Red. So I get to choose this miniature's destiny. Sorry, Omega. You have no say in this matter. So this Omega Red, his destiny is to be played on the tabletop, right? He's going to be thrown in a bag or thrown in on a shelf. And I'm going to go to the local game store, or I'm going to go to Pagani's house and throw it down in the garage. And I'm going to bust out my Omega Red. And he just has to look cool for me. He doesn't gotta look cool for anybody else. If he does look cool for you, awesome, great. Like great. You think he looks cool? Thanks, I appreciate that. But that's not his destiny. His destiny is my joy, and well, I mean, this one's destiny is to help teach you as well. But like, that's his destiny, is for my joy. Now, if you like a studio miniature, right? Like let's say the Scarlet Witch you saw in the box. Like when that I had to choose the destiny. The destiny of that was to be on the box, was to be in marketing images. So you have to choose that destiny. Well, now the rules change, right? That has to bring joy to someone else. That has to look good a certain way. I can't boff it, right? I can't fake it. This I can totally fake. You'll never know. And I'll forget that I faked it. So you choose that destiny. Like maybe you're going to go to a painting competition. You pick your miniature and you say, this miniature, this is for a painting competition. Now that miniature, that destiny is not just to bring people joy or you joy. You should find joy. Hopefully you find joy in it, but because you should find joy in the process, not the end. It's the process, because there's always another one. But the destiny of a competition miniature is to be judged. It's literally for someone else to look at and to give critique. You can't critique my Omega Red. Like, I mean, you could be like, oh, you could have done the hair better. Great. Yes, I could have done the hair better. But it's not for critique. It's for me to love myself. Not if I'm going to go to a competition though, that's for, I have to understand somebody's going to critique that. And I have to choose that destiny for that miniature. Yeah, learn to be okay with yourself and grow. That's all we can do. You got to learn to love yourself. You got to learn to love what you do. And just let the miniature have its destiny and be part of the journey together. Like, be part of the journey. Take the journey. You're not rushing toward the end. If you want to learn something, you put the time in, right? I mean, I love playing video games. I do. But if I'm determined, I'm like, okay, well, this year I would like to learn to paint studio miniature this year. That's less video games I gotta do. That's less TV shows I get to watch, because I need to. That's what I'm saying I want to do. So if you want to do something, you put in the time, and you ask the questions, and you do get critique. If you just like want something painted, then just paint it. Paint it for the fun of it. Paint it for the heck of it. I paint stuff for the heck of it all the time. I got random miniatures I just paint for the weird whatever I want to do kind of thing. I got a bobblehead on my desk that is just like, I just want to paint this bobblehead. I don't know. I prime it over, paint it up, whatever. That was neat. I learned something from it, and I can take that philosophy and I can apply it to another project. So be okay with learning. Be okay with failing. Like I said, I tell my kid the whole time growing up, you never learn by winning. All the lessons are learned the hard way. What else we got? You got 1 minute before the show ends, and BK comes flying from where BK lives to my house and breaks down my door and turns off my computer. He's not going to do that. So you better ask some questions. I'm reading the thing. Not MCP questions. Yeah, I challenge you, BK, to come turn me off. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, taking like, I don't know, 8 hours. We can just do an 8 hour more stream. Whatever, I'm down. Organized play comes through. We do all kinds of organized play. We do all kinds of like narrative events and organized play stuff like that. So that's the fun part of MCP is I love those events. I love that Thanos Ultimate Encounter. Love Ultimate Encounters. I think they're so cool. And there's always more of that coming. So if I got top 5 paints you tend to go to, magenta, cyan, black, white, yellow. That's right. Those are the colors. I'm going to put it on this outro. There's where you can find us for all the latest news, information, and announcements. You should definitely go check us out on Twitter and Instagram for all the good stuff. Instagram definitely to see all the dope painted miniatures from the community that we share every month in our different painting challenges that we offer. And remember, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on Twitch, you can check us out. Tomorrow is Mr. John Schaefer. Or no, I know what tomorrow is. Have we told him what tomorrow is? Can I say what tomorrow is? I know what tomorrow is. I know what we're doing tomorrow. Can I say what we're doing tomorrow? I'm waiting. Wampa Stampa, what up? Oh, awesome. You join in tomorrow. I believe it's going to be Will Pagani and Michael Plummer playing some X-Wing. It's going to be dope. It's going to be a super fun little game. So join in tomorrow at 1 p.m. and check that out. Should be a lot of fun. Who knows what they'll be talking about. Probably a bunch of nonsense because it's... X-Wing. That's my really bad impersonation of a TIE fighter. I try really hard though. So until next time, I hope everybody enjoyed yourself. Hope you learned something. And remember, go be the hero we know you can be. So see you later. Bye.